All right, let's get rid of this and right here, and let's just hit Command-Shift-L, see what happens. That looks pretty good. Command-Shift-B. So Command-Shift-L is just auto-tone, or auto-tone. Auto-color is Command-Shift-B. And that does a decent job. I'm going to say we can do better. So I'm going to step 3 steps back, and I want to show you the best trick in color adjustment. I'm going to go down here and go into curves. And then I'm going to do the 3-click color adjustment thing. And this is these 3 buttons that I was talking about earlier. This button sets the white point, this button sets the black point, this button sets the midpoint. Excuse me, I should say light point, dark point, and midpoint. So when you're adjusting a color, one thing that a lot of people don't realize is what does that even mean to adjust a color? And what that means is that your lightest light is actually white. And your lightest black, or your lightest, dark, is actually black. So you have the entire color range of color. Like if you look at this little thing right there, this is called a histogram. And this is essentially saying that when you go from dark to light, this is how many darks you have. This is how many lights you have. So you can see in this image, you don't have that many lights. Don't confuse yourself by spending too much time looking at this histogram. I just kind of wanted to point that out. Don't worry about the histogram. Just wanted to point that out. You can see there aren't that many lights. So if I set the lightest light point to white, all I'm going to do is click this, and then I'm going to click over here. Already looks better. I'm going to click over here. Looks pretty good. Now I'm going to set my darkest dark point to black. Looking better. And then I'm going to set the midpoint. So I'm going to try and find a neutral gray. Okay, so lightest light point, you want to be white. Darkest dark point, you want to be black. And then you want to make it so there isn't any color skewing. So right now this image looks a little bit too purple, I would say, or orange. It's too orange, probably. You want the neutral grays to actually be neutral gray. If you've ever taken a picture that turns out yellow or red or washed out like that, it's just color relativity. Our eyes automatically adjust for that. Sometimes our photos don't. So if we want to get this neutral gray, I'm going to click a bunch of places. Some of them will be wrong. Some of them will be horribly wrong. That one actually looked pretty good right there. So I'm digging this right here. And because we have a color adjustment layer, we can turn it off and on and see exactly the change right there.
From the original to the new.
Yeah, exactly. So that's looking much better. Let's move on to another image, and I'll show you how to brighten and decrease. I'll show you that right now.
That's great. You made it early morning and late night.
Yeah, there we go. Whenever this is.
It can't be that time of night though. There's no traffic.
Yeah. Just because we live in San Francisco doesn't mean what city. I don't know what city this is. Okay, so one final thing, just with this hack of a method that works literally 95% of the time. This is virtually what I always use. There's this bar that's this diagonal bar. Don't worry about what it means right now. That'll just confuse you right there. It confused me for probably the better part of 2 years. If you raise the middle point, it lightens. If you lower the middle point, it darkens. And don't go too much or it looks a little bit Photoshoppy. And if you start doing all sorts of crazy stuff, it looks terrible. But be aware that you can. So
that looks kind of cool. It's very modern.
Modernity. Yeah, sure.
Urban jungle.
All right. So feel free to be artistic with it. You have the ability to do any terrible experiments you want. So I'm just going to raise that, make it lighter. All right. So I'm going to do the same thing with this. Again,